announcements that just came out, and this news was announced on September 8th. So just 7 months after the conclusion of its inaugural season, Unrivaled said it has been valued at $340 million. Some of the biggest headlines throughout this entire season are the CBA negotiations. They wore the shirts at All-Star, pay us what you owe us. From what we have heard from so many players, because they've been very outspoken, they have given us a lot of information about these talks, things are not going well. The league and the players still seem to be bumping heads and not able to come to an agreement on these CBA negotiations. Now, the deadline ends on October 31st. They can extend it, but you guys, it just gets really tricky, and I think the timing of Unrivaled announced.
Everyone always says no single athlete can change the economics of an entire league, but Caitlin Clark is the exception. The one player who isn't just a superstar, but a walking financial revolution. She doesn't join a team, she transforms it. She doesn't just bring talent, she brings an avalanche of money ratings and credibility. And that is why Unrivaled thought they could lure her in with cash. But here's the twist. Her fans, the very people who make her the most powerful figure in women's basketball, aren't just saying no, they're saying absolutely never. And that rejection isn't polite.
Announcing this is all strategic. They could have announced this at literally any other time. They are doing it as a negotiation tactic. We have also heard from players that the WNBA does not want players to play in Unrivaled, and they don't want them to play in overseas leagues. I have been one who has said from the beginning, I just don't see how these two leagues coexist. I don't see how they coexist if both of them are successful. At the end of the day, Unrivaled is a competitor league to the WNBA. You don't see it in any other pro sports. Now, the WNBA is different because they have a shorter season. They haven't been able to pay.
It's brutal, it's loud, and it's a signal to the entire sports world that without Caitlin Clark, your league doesn't just struggle, it collapses. And right now, Unrivaled is learning that lesson the hard way, because while they may have planned their announcement as a clever negotiation tactic, the reality is that Clark's fan base just detonated their strategy and left their commissioner in full-blown panic mode. Let's break it down. The numbers don't lie, and in this case, they speak volumes. A poll went out, and the question was simple: should Caitlin Clark take her talents to Unrivaled? The answer?
You saying there, in your experience in baseball, there was never a player that moved that needle
meaningfully enough that would cover their salary? Never once, and there's never been a player. And anyone who tells you otherwise, they're simply lying to you. But I'm about to give you the exception. Caitlin Clark with Unrivaled would be the example where she will bring with her a pot of money that otherwise would not be available to Unrivaled, and that would help inform me what I'd be willing to give her, which I assume is what they are willing to give her, which is going to be far greater than anyone else in the league. It will be more money overall comp than the co-founders. There will be an opportunity for more equity because it's measurable, because I bet that they've negotiated in a way with their partners that should they get this tornado of benefit, which is named Caitlin Clark.
A crushing 78% of fans voted no. That's not a close call. That's not even up for debate. That's an overwhelming, undeniable rejection. And here's the kicker. This isn't even the first time it's happened. Last year, Unrivaled offered her a jaw-dropping $1 million to join for just 8 weeks, a figure that was 10 times her WNBA salary. Yet, the fans shut it down just as loudly, just as firmly. Twice now, in 2 years, Caitlin Clark has stared down the most lucrative offer in women's basketball history and said, no thanks, and both times, her fans have stood behind her, rejecting the idea without hesitation. This isn't just a rejection of a league. This is a rejection of everything. Unrivaled represents a flashy, unstable gamble that fans and players alike can see through. The message is clear. Money can't buy loyalty, and it can't buy respect in the world of women's sports. Now, let's talk about what's really at stake here. Unrivaled isn't just some league trying to make a splash, it's a competitor to the WNBA, and in the world of professional sports, competition like this doesn't come easy. The WNBA has been around for decades, building its foundation, expanding its reach, and finally starting to hit its stride. But Unrivaled, it's still in its infancy, trying to figure out how to stand up to a giant. And here's the brutal truth without Caitlin Clark. It's not even a contest. It's not even close. Unrivaled may try to present itself as the future of women's basketball, but they're missing the one thing that matters most: the talent that can actually bring in fans, sponsors, and television deals. You can't fake that kind of star power. Caitlin Clark doesn't just play the game, she redefines it. And until Unrivaled realizes this, they'll keep running in circles, wondering why their shiny new league is going nowhere. But it's not just about the numbers, it's about the culture, the loyalty, and the trust. Caitlin Clark is more than just a player, she's the lightning rod of women's basketball. Whether she likes it or not, she carries the weight of an entire fan base, a community that rallies behind her every step of the way. Now, imagine stepping into a league like Unrivaled, where not only is the competition fierce, but some of your own teammates, your so-called co-workers, are also your rivals. It's a toxic setup, and fans can see it from a mile away. Caitlin's fan base doesn't want her to walk into that kind of environment. They don't want her to be part of a league where the players who are supposed to support her could also be the ones trying to tear her down. That's the reality of a player-owned, player-operated league like Unrivaled, and it's a reality that fans know would destroy the integrity of the game they love. Caitlin Clark's legacy isn't built on gimmicks. It's built on respect, competition, and, above all, trust. Trust in the league, trust in the system, and trust in the people around her. And then there's the question of legitimacy. Unrivaled's flashy branding, its eye-catching offers, and its promises of revolutionizing the sport, they're all built on a shaky foundation. Fans aren't blind. They know what's real and what's a desperate cash grab. Unrivaled may talk a big game, but they're still struggling to prove themselves. A league with an unstable product, weak viewer engagement, and poor attendance at games just doesn't inspire the kind of loyalty Caitlin Clark has built with the WNBA. She's more than just an athlete, she's a cultural force. Fans don't see her as someone who needs to save a league, they see her as the person who elevates every league she touches. Her presence turns the WNBA into something that not only competes with the men's game, but in some markets even outshines it. So, why would her fans want her to throw that all away for a league that can barely get 800 fans in the stands? They wouldn't, and they haven't. Let's talk about the reality of the money. Unrivaled's offer may sound tempting at first glance, $1 million for just 8 weeks of work. A quick payday for Caitlin Clark, who's worth far more in her WNBA salary. But here's the kicker. Caitlin Clark isn't a million-dollar player. She's a multi-million-dollar industry on her own. Unrivaled's $1 million? That's pocket change when you look at what she's worth in the long run. Clark's presence didn't just help the WNBA sign a $2.2 billion television rights deal. She's the reason the women's game is even being talked about at this level. Every media deal, every sponsorship, every dollar that flows into the WNBA, Caitlin Clark is a direct driving force behind it. So when fans see Unrivaled trying to offer her a fraction of what she's worth, it's not just an insult to her, it's an insult to the entire fan base. They know their star deserves better than a league that's just trying to cash in on her name. And let's not forget about Unrivaled's failed attempt to lure Caitlin Clark last year. They came in with an offer that was impossible to ignore, a cool $1 million for just 2 months. It was supposed to be a game changer, a statement move that would prove their league had the chops to compete with the WNBA. But what happened? Fans didn't just reject the offer, they absolutely obliterated it. The backlash was swift, overwhelming, and unmistakable. And now, 1 year later, they're trying the same exact play with the same exact result. This isn't just a setback for Unrivaled, it's a full-on crisis, the kind of crisis that shakes the foundation of their entire existence. The fans have spoken, and Caitlin Clark's community has made it clear. No matter how much money you throw at her, no matter how many promises you make, she's not interested in being part of something that doesn't respect her, her worth, or the game. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Unrivaled's financial struggles. Sure, the league's value is touted at $340 million, but that's hardly the whole picture. The reality is, Unrivaled is losing money at an alarming rate. They've got shiny branding, a few flashy names, but they lack the core audience, the legitimacy, and the infrastructure to survive long-term. The fans know this, the players know this, and Caitlin Clark's fan base certainly knows this. This isn't a league that's growing, it's a league barely keeping its head above water. And when you look at the numbers, it's clear. Unrivaled is running on empty, hoping that the allure of a revolutionary new league will be enough to carry it. But without Clark, they're just another startup drowning in a sea of flashy gimmicks and empty promises. The WNBA, for all its flaws, is growing. It's gaining ground, securing television deals, and carving out a place for itself in the sports world. Unrivaled, on the other hand, is still struggling to find its footing. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Unrivaled is pushing forward with an expansion plan, adding 2 new teams, the Breeze and the Hive, in an attempt to grow the league. But let's be real, expand for what? Who's going to watch these games? Who's tuning in to see these new teams when the core product is already crumbling? Fans aren't dumb. They know when something is being forced. And when they look at Unrivaled's expansion, they don't see a league that's thriving. They see a desperate attempt to stay relevant, to look bigger than they actually are. The fact is, Caitlin Clark could have been the missing piece, the star power to elevate this league and give it the credibility it desperately needs. But without her, these new teams feel like nothing more than an empty marketing ploy. Expanding a league that hasn't even solidified its identity is a sign of panic, not progress. And fans see that panic, loud and clear. They're not buying it, not without Caitlin Clark. In the end, the rejection of Unrivaled's offers isn't just about Caitlin Clark turning down a paycheck, it's about something much bigger. It's about the value of integrity, the power of loyalty, and the trust that Clark has built with her fans. This isn't just a business decision. It's a statement about what the future of women's basketball should look like. Caitlin Clark isn't going to settle for a league that doesn't respect her or the sport she loves. And her fans? They're right behind her, making it clear that no amount of money, no amount of flashy branding, and no amount of expansion can change the fact that Unrivaled simply doesn't have what it takes to compete with the WNBA.